Okay, so we are live now, which is good. I'll go ahead and hit record and then we'll get rolling. And as women just keep jumping in, then I'll just keep adding them. So, ladies, welcome to the Teaching Tuesday. And as most of you know that are here, we do the Teaching Tuesdays every single Tuesday now. So, I'm really excited to have Ashley with us today. And what I love about what Ashley does is she really, for me, saves me so much time in my business because I remember when I used to have to sit and do my own taxes, do my own bookkeeping, and I remember it was last year my CPA needed everything and I was dreading it. It took me like 2 weeks to do my books, to sit down and try and go through my credit card statements. I was miserable and it was like the worst thing that I ever did. And as soon as I met Ashley, I was like, yes, it's all yours. And sorry, it's a mess. But that's the beautiful thing. You can hand over your books to Ash and she just goes through everything. I literally was in person when I met her in Chicago, brought her a whole just mess of files. She took them. By the next day, she handed them back. She's like, I'm done with them. I'm like, what do you mean you're done with them? She's like, I'm done. They're all scanned. I've got everything. I'll take it from here. I was like, you are like a god. I don't know how you did that, but I'm sharing this with you guys because it truly happened in my life. And so now I just get videos or updates from her every month, and she's telling me what's going on with my books, how to read my P&Ls. She gives me suggestions on things, and that's it. And it's all done. So this year, I used to be so jealous of my husband because at tax time, he would just he had a bookkeeper, he had a CPA, he would just be like, here we go, everything's just turned in an hour. And I was like dreading for weeks, like, I'm not ready. Oh my gosh, I don't have time in my schedule to do this. So now I'm like, oh, here's my stuff. I'm ready, file my taxes. So it totally pays to have someone on your side because the last thing that I want to learn, just like the last thing as entrepreneurs you want to learn, is what the federal and state taxes are. Like, I'm sorry. I don't have time to figure out what are the new tax laws this year. What does it mean from the pandemic and COVID? What can I write off? What I can't? What does the PPP loan mean to me when I applied? If I got money, what am I supposed to do with that? How does that go into my taxes? Like, if you're sitting there trying to do TurboTax, you're not getting all the write-offs that you need as a small business owner. So what Ashley's going to teach us today is a lot about that. So I'm going to turn the time over to Ash so she can go ahead and talk a little bit about herself. Why is she so unique in this industry and her magic that she creates for all of us?
The magic. I love the magic. That's awesome. So for those that don't know me, I'm a very interactive person. I like when people are on, like when they're able to talk, when you can answer questions. And so if you can't tell with my hands, I'm a very vocal moving person. So I want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you guys want to chit chat, just make sure you unmute and there will be plenty of questions that I'm asking. But I just want to start off a little bit about myself. And I just want to know, has anybody ever felt that feeling where God is just like, man, you got to do something. You got to do this. Has anybody else ever felt that? Me? I felt that massively. And I started a bookkeeping business because when I was 16 years old, I got pregnant with my first baby. And that was a very scary, crazy time. But there's one thing that I know about myself, and it's that I'm an overachiever. And so as I'm sitting there in my varsity cheerleader uniform at basketball games, growing out of this, I had to hang up my pom-poms because I had a baby on the way. And I knew that I wanted more for my life, and I wanted more for my life for my child. And I knew that there was something that God was pulling me to do, and that this baby was just another blessing. And now he is almost 15 years old. So he has been nothing short of an amazing little human to watch grow. But then in that, I decided to get that pull again from God, and I joined the military, where I learned a lot of different skills. I learned about loyalty and duty and making sure that you're on top of it and that everything is, dress right dress. And so I became a very organized, dedicated, very crazy person. I mean, I've been crazy, but that's okay. But in the military, I actually met my husband. I came away with something that a lot of people don't come home with, and that is the amazing marriage that I've been in now for 11 years. And I have 3 more children, and I've got 3 crazy dogs. And then as I'm sitting here, I got put into this life of being a stay-at-home mom. And it is the greatest thing in the world. I love it. I love being home with my children. COVID has been nothing short of a blessing for our family, my kids being here and getting to interact with them and be involved in their schoolwork and really know what's going on in their life. But I wanted something more than just being a mom. And there's nothing wrong with just being a mom, but I knew there was something God was pulling me to be, and it was to be involved with women and be involved in their finances. So I went to school. I got an accounting degree, and then I'm like, okay, what now? I don't want to live in the corporate world. I want to still be interactive with my children. I want to be that wife at home. I want to do all of these things, but I have to do something more. So I started a bookkeeping business because I'm an accountant, and I'm like, I don't like the word accountant. I don't know about anybody else, but the word accountant feels very standoffish to me. So I made sure that I would be more than just somebody that you hand your receipts to at the end of the year, that scrambles through and gets your taxes done and says, hasta la vista, see you next year. So I set out to make sure that I was more than just doing your taxes. I wanted to be more than that. So that's going to bring me into what we're going to be learning about today. There are 3 things that I want to touch on today. I want to touch on the compliance with your federal and state agencies. I want to touch on the write-offs that you as small business owners can be taking. And then I want to be touching on your chart of accounts. It is a super important piece of your business. And I think that a lot of people overlook it because it's a funny accounting word and nobody really wants to talk about their chart of accounts. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to start off with compliance with the state and government entities. Does everybody know how to be compliant with your state and government entities? Does everybody love talking to the IRS? You can't wait to get on hold with those people? No? Nobody else? Me either. I don't like the IRS. That's why I got into this, is because I'm honestly scared of the IRS. I don't like messing with them. And they're a big entity that can just screw up a lot of things really fast in your life, in your personal life, in your business life, and everything. So it's just something I strive to not mess with, is with the IRS. And so I want to touch on your filings. So how many people here are set up as LLCs? Anybody set up? Okay. So are you like sole member LLCs? Okay. Does everybody know that you should be filing a Schedule C on your 1040? Yeah? No? So a Schedule C for your 1040 is like equivalent to a W-2. It's going over all of your gross revenues for the year, all of the expenses and things that you can deduct, and then it's telling you what your gross profit is going to be, or what your net profit is going to be. And then you're going to be filing that on your personal tax form. And I know that's a lot of bookkeeping, accounting jargon, but it's things that you guys should be empowered to know, that you need to be looking at the dates. You need to know where you're supposed to be putting your information, because you as the business owner are responsible for what is put on your 1040. Even though you have a tax professional preparing it, they have you sign a little piece of paper that says, all right, so-and-so looked this all over. They said it was good. It's putting your name on it. And that takes less of the risk off of the tax preparer, and then puts that also on the business owner. So when you're signing that little piece of paper that I know is very easy to slip in with all of the papers that an accounting professional makes you sign, it is something that you need to be making sure that you know how to look over that specific tax form, know what's being put on there. And you don't have to know all the tax code. You just need to make sure that you can read a P&L, and then you can look at your Schedule C and be like, these numbers are off, or hey, these numbers are on point. This is what is true, and just be empowered in knowing that these are the specific things that you need to be looking for. Does anybody know what double entry accounting is? No? So double entry accounting is what every single business should be doing. How many people here are using an Excel spreadsheet for tracking their business finances? Hopefully nobody. Oh my goodness. Okay. You should not be using an Excel spreadsheet. It is the scariest thing to use in your business because you can't prove anything to the IRS with it. The whole entire point behind tracking your numbers, minus the fact that you as business owners should know what's going on financially in your business, you should be empowered in your numbers, and you should be using your numbers to make your business grow. You should be using double entry accounting, because that is then proof to the IRS that you are compliant, that you are truthful, and that everything you're doing financially in your business is honest and true. And then they can't come back at you and say, oh no, that's not real. You can fudge your numbers a lot when it comes to an Excel spreadsheet. Using something like QuickBooks Online or Xero or Waves. I'm not fond of Waves, but it is a free version of an accounting software that you can use for a small business. When you're doing an account, it's double entry accounting, you are then able to prove to the IRS, no, my bank statement says this, what came in through my QuickBooks says this, boom, they match. That's when you reconcile things, and then you are able to prove to the government that you are compliant and that the things that you're writing off on your taxes, because we're all out for those deductions, making sure that all of that is true to the IRS is what the whole entire reason for anything accounting is. And then who keeps their receipts here? Does everybody keep their receipts? How is everybody keeping their receipts? Where do you keep your receipts? Throw it out there.
Various ways, like a Google Drive folder.
Okay.
Is one place.
Does anybody keep them in a shoebox?
I keep them in an envelope.
In an envelope? Okay, so at the end of the year, when you keep them in this envelope or you keep them in a box and you're going through and you're looking at them, how long does it take you to look through them, to match everything, to make sure that everything is from this year or that it came through your bank statement, all of that? How long do you think you spent on it?
It doesn't take me all that long because I put them by like category, so in the envelope, I have like paper clipped together the different expenses, like the office expenses, advertising, marketing. So I kind of clip them together in different categories, I guess. And if they're one that's one of those like slick receipts, that fades, I make a copy of it, like a paper copy of it, and then put it in there.
That's awesome. And most people don't do it like that. But I will tell you how I do it and how I have clients do it. And Colleen can attest to this. There's a system that I use, and it's called HubDoc. And it's an app on your phone. It is a software that you can use on the internet. And it is a receipt management, a file management system. And in that system, you can then take pictures of all of your receipts, and then it files them away. So it keeps all the paperwork for your business, because you have to keep all of your receipts and everything by year for the 7 years per the IRS regulations. And in that, you can just take a picture, nothing fades. You don't have to worry about it. It's all in the filing cabinet. If you're using a software, you can connect it with the transactions that are coming through, then you're reconciling your bank account, then everything's linked together. And then if you were to ever have an IRS audit, you say, look at my stuff. It's beautiful. It's magical. Look through it all if you want, because I did everything correctly. And so having that in a system linked to a software and doing that small extra step really can save you thousands of dollars, because the reason for an audit is for somebody to come in and prove that the stuff you're saying you paid for, that you didn't. And they want to make sure that they're getting all of their money and that you're not getting extra from them. So just having something linked up, organized, all in your accounting is something massively important, in my opinion. So now we're going to start talking about write-offs in our business. So I'd like to know just kind of what businesses everybody's in, so I can kind of gauge what to talk about. So Mel, I know you do VA services. Heather, what do you do?
I own an event company, Foxfire Events. So I put on events throughout the year.
Okay. And then Melissa, what do you do?
Concierge consulting in the health field.
Nice. Tanya?
Yeah, greetings from New York City. So I'm a personal stylist.
Nice.
So I style women, authors, speakers, thought leaders. I style women to get them camera ready and elevate their style. Which I have a question for you: if consultation services should be tax deductible, like for my clients.
Image, I'd have to look at the tax code to see if that, it depends on what kind of business they're in. It depends on if their brand depends mainly on their face and how they're presenting themselves. So yes, it could be a professional service that they can write off. I don't know if it would be 100% write off for something like that, but it would probably be in the 60% range. If I can just think of a tax code that's popping into my head, it would probably be in the 60% range that your clients can be writing off for your services. And that's also really just a great selling point that I love to do with people, because I'm an accounting service. My services are 100% write-off. So you get to take that off and not pay any taxes on that money. So it's always a really good service. It's always a really good selling point.
Excellent. Thank you.
Welcome. Monica, what do you do?
We hire caregivers to take care of all the adults in their homes. So we use QuickBooks for our payroll and our tax arrangements.
Awesome. Katie, do you want to say what you do? She doesn't have
Sure.
anything.
I'm actually the executive assistant to Wendy Yates, and Wendy owns a few businesses, architectural and interior design company up in Colorado. We have clients all over the U.S. And we're branching out into other countries too, which is really fun for taxes. And then she is a humanitarian and fitness wellness retreats company called WellFit Human Retreats also.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot of things.
Yeah. And it keeps growing. She started at an importing company a few weeks ago as well on her travels to Honduras. So I get to work that in as well.
That sounds exciting though. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is very much.
Awesome. But let's talk about write-offs for small businesses. So most of us know that you can write off specific utilities when it comes to it. So like the portion of your cell phone that you're using for business, the portion of your electricity bill that is being used. You can write off the $5 per square footage for the office space that is dedicated to running your business. There's a lot of different write-offs that you as a small business can be taking advantage of. And it really comes down to what your business is as to finding the special ways that you can be writing off. I have a client that actually lives in a small apartment and she doesn't have a dedicated like desk area, but she was able to write off the closet space that she keeps all of her supplies in, and being able to store all of that in a specific place. You may not be able to write off a large portion of an office area, but she is able to write off something of that nature, because you have to be creative. You have to know what the code is and be able to see in their gray lines, because even though tax code is very black and white, there is still gray area on how you can make sure that you are keeping the most of your money. They're knowing and having a good tax professional in your background is something it just saves you so much money. It'll save you so much money in the long run on how to be creative with making sure that the most money is staying in your pocket. So it's just something, if you have a tax professional, make sure that you are having a yearly update with them on being creative in the tax code. And if you're not with somebody that wants to be creative and that wants to just keep doing dress right dress and just sticking with the complacency, then they're not an active mind that you should probably be working with. I at least always opt for people that are new, fresh, and that want to be creative in their field. And that's what I look for in people when I'm working with them. Does anybody have questions on write-offs? Is there anything that I could potentially answer for you specific to your business? Does anybody have questions? No? That's okay. Tax code is, write-offs is always just a fun little area to talk about. Then let's hit on the last thing, chart of accounts. How many people here think that the chart of accounts is something important? I think it's something very important. So your chart of accounts is important to you, and it's something that you populate. Well, even if you're using an Excel spreadsheet, when you are itemizing utility bills and office supplies and gas receipts and things like that, you're setting up a chart of accounts by hand for yourself. A chart of accounts in an accounting software are all of the, what I like to call buckets, that you're putting all of your information in. So when you're putting everything into these specific buckets, you're really organizing what's going on in your business. You need to be making sure that any assets that you're putting into your business, that you're organizing those in the specific spots. So it's showing on your balance sheet report that you have assets and you have liquid and you have cash in your business. That's always something that you need to be looking out for first. Also with your liabilities, if you have any loans, if you have any money that you owe people, your credit cards, things of that nature, categorizing those payments and those liabilities is absolutely crucial to showing the availability to a bank. If you wanted to walk into a bank right now and obtain a mortgage as a single member LLC and you're tracking everything on an Excel spreadsheet or by hand, a bank is never going to give you anything that you want when it comes to obtaining a mortgage, obtaining a car loan, obtaining credit cards for your business, because they want to see that you have something concrete and that you have something that you can't mess with, because you can put XYZ for any number that you want. You can move a decimal point left or right to make something look worse or better. And so just using something to that nature isn't going to afford you the availability to walk into any type of institution and be able to get the funding that your business needs. And in order as a small business owner to walk in and get a mortgage or something of that nature, you have to be able to show on your 1040 that you are making money, making more money each year over year, and how you're tracking everything. So if you don't have your books set up in a software and something that can actually match and reconcile and show reports that are not something you can generate yourself, then you're having to show it off of your tax return. And that takes years to establish what the bank actually wants to see when it comes to doing any of that. Let's see. Also with your chart of accounts, when you're putting things in the right areas. So if you are buying office supplies, if you are paying for advertising, which is something that's a write-off, when you are paying for legal services, when you're paying professional service like an accountant or things like that, having them put your education is a huge write-off that you can take in a small business. When you are keeping up and you're investing in yourself, you can write that off. But if you're not tracking properly, putting that in your chart of accounts in the right spots, you're never going to be able to actually see that you can take those as write-offs. And if somebody's just glancing over your P&L and you don't have it put in the right spot, they're not taking those deductions for you. So you have to make sure that you're organized enough to be able to show them, hey, these are the creative things that I need to be able to take. How are we going to be making this happen? It also really keeps your business organized. I like to really break down and go very granular when it comes to advertising. I like to see where you're putting your money. If you're putting it into these 4 places, but you're not seeing a return in 2 of the places, well, we need to stop paying in that spot. We need to shift that money into a spot where you are seeing a return and grow your business that way. But if you just have everything lumped into one spot saying, oh, this is my advertising and marketing, I'm spending $5,000 a year in advertising and marketing, and I'm seeing a return, but could you be seeing more of a return? Those are the things that I'd like to look for when I'm looking into people's books and finding out what's going on in their actual business overview. All right.
I've never asked you. I do. I've never asked you this question, but since we're on here, I'm just going to ask it, and you can just tell me truthfully if it is or not. Would Lead Up for Women, a membership for women, be a write-off? Because they're not only marketing, in addition to, there's the 15-year-old, in addition to the marketing, they're getting advertisement for themselves through promotion. So would it be and education? So would it be considered training or education or promotion?
I mean, your membership, I will be writing off.
Okay.
So yes,
So it is a write-off.
because I'm advertising with you, I'm getting education with you, I'm doing all of these different things. I will be writing it off.
That's great. I didn't know that. That's just another, I didn't even think about that until this, like, I've been running this thing for almost 3 years and it never even crossed my mind, like, oh, you could write that off because it's training, it's promotion, it's all these other things for you. But that's it, like you said to Tanya earlier, it's a great write-off opportunity. I'm not a nonprofit, but what you're paying for is for marketing and promotions and education.
And because of the price of your membership, you don't have to claim it as a 1099. Like you don't have to get a 1099 from anybody.
Right.
Because of the price
Because
of your
it's
membership.
so low. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because it's under the $600 threshold. So everything that I'm doing, and because I'm advertising in your magazine, I'm advertising on your Facebook page, I'm taking advantage of these opportunities, then I can for sure write this off as education and advertising. I'll split it because there's a certain, your advertising is actually a higher percentage that you can write off than your education, but because there is education in it and I've taken advantage of it. But yeah, like the lunch and learns and things like that, that's a write-off. And there's a reason why my name is Each Penny Bookkeeping. It's because every penny counts. Yeah. Every time that you're spending money, it really does count towards, I want my bottom line to look, and I want to pay the least amount of taxes as possible to the IRS, me personally, and everybody else.
We should all feel that way, by the way. We should all feel that way. It's our money. We worked really hard for it. We should all feel that way.
Yeah, I don't want to be paying it to the IRS if I don't have to.
Thanks for that. I didn't know that, but
yeah,
I learned something new today. I'm always learning something new on these Teaching Tuesdays. I love them.
It's always something good to learn. And you know what? Sometimes you just need somebody different. You need somebody to think differently, think creatively, think outside the box on how these things should be advertised, because now that's a great selling point for you, Colleen. Boom. It's a write-off. But yeah, so if you're going to be running a business, this is just my personal thought when it comes to your chart of accounts. If you're going to be running a business, you really need to just run your business correctly. You need to be compliant. You need to be, black and white. And I'm not the kind of person that likes to not be black and white when it comes to showing what's going on. I like to be creative. I like to decipher the tax code and see what I can do and how I can get something different and how I can maneuver and shift a little bit to make the tax code work for me, my family, and my clients. But I am a very black and white person when it comes to making sure that you are tracking everything correctly, that you are being truthful with what's going on. So I definitely like to make sure that things are dress. I'm a military person. I'm very blunt with it. So
well, I think your values from the beginning, what you said, shows us that you're not going to be like skeevy. I don't even know if that's a good word to use, but I'm sorry. I used to have a tax guy a long time ago. My husband and I did, and every time we would go in and get our taxes, his name was Axel, and he would make this homemade barbecue sauce, and he would give us this homemade barbecue sauce, and he seemed skeevy to me. I don't know what other word to use, but it was like squirmy, and I felt unclean being in his office. Like I feel like I'm probably going to get screwed and get audited sometime soon because you're manipulating these numbers so bad that the IRS is going to come down on me, right? So I love it when, people follow by the book, but they also use legal loopholes that exist in the tax law. They're called legal loopholes, and they exist, and you can utilize them to, and women, I have to tell you, this is not our genius. Unless you are a CPA, unless you have an accounting background, unless you have a degree, like Ashley, it's just not our genius. Our genius is, for Tanya, it's the dressing women. Her genius is style. It's not numbers and books and chart of accounts and all that stuff that just makes me get anxiety and my neck starts tightening up and stuff. So we need to be focusing on the things that we do really, really well and let other people take care of the things that just freak us out. But we know if you want to put your big girl pants on and run a real business and make real money, then you have to be taking care of these pieces. You have to. That's the beauty and the freedoms of running a business in this nation, but you have to follow the rules.
You do. And like loopholes are not just for the wealthy. Loopholes can be for everyday people. You just have to know, and you have to have somebody that has the creative mind to be like, okay, you're finally getting to a point in your business. Let's change your election. Let's make sure you may be a single member LLC, but is it more beneficial for you to be an S Corp and to be taking advantage of those? How is it going to weigh on your time if you are doing these things? And it's just somebody. The whole reason why I call myself a bookkeeper versus being an accountant is a bookkeeper is somebody that cares about your finances, is in your finances, digs through them, and wants to be involved in your business. I like to call myself a little mini CFO because I really do dig and dive and want to make sure that everything's going properly in your books. And how can we make it better? How can we make you more money? How can we grow your business? Because, well, nobody wants to not grow. I want to grow. I don't know about anybody else, but I know I'm growing. And I won't stop until I've hit the point where I can like take over the world. That's what I keep having like the pinky in the brain,
But
laugh in my head.
you're a CPA because you can file taxes, you can do payroll, like so you can.
I'm just not certified. There's a big legality behind it. I cannot call myself a CPA because I'm not a CPA. I did not sit for 7 years and do all of that because I have 4 children. But I do have my certifications through the IRS to be able to do all of the tax code and know all of that. I mean, I've got my big books of tax code each year that I get to wonderfully read through and do all my CPE for and learn all of the wonderfulness that's going through. I just don't have, I feel like it's the difference between like a nurse, like a doctor and a nurse. Like I have somebody else above me that can take all the liability, but I get to do just all of like the fun stuff and I don't have to deal with all of the craziness. So that's what I like to do. Those are me. But let's see. Let's do a little experiment right now. I know everybody has this in their head for their business. And so I just want everybody to take what their gross number that they want to annually make this year. Like just throw it out there and we'll do some easy math real quick. I just want you to
just
pop
write
your
it down
calculator
in front of us. Kind of our goal, just write it down.
Yeah, write it down, do your goal. You don't have to put anything out there or anything, but I want you to do your annual gross goal. And then I want you to divide that by $2,000. I want you to divide it by $2,000 and you're going to come up with what your hourly rate for the year is.
So we're dividing it by 2,000 hours? 2,000 hours, right? Yeah.
2,000, yeah.
Hours, okay.
Because there's 40 hours in a work
So what
week,
our goal?
52 weeks. Yep. And I want you to find out what your hourly rate is based off of your goal. So just pop your head up when you got it. Awesome. So with this now shows your hourly rate. Now I want you to just do a little bit of math. You work at your bookkeeping on average. Everybody works at their bookkeeping 2 hours per week, per month. So that is 8 hours that you are working in your bookkeeping every single month. So I want you to figure out how much that is. So it's going to be whatever your hourly rate is times 8. And if you want, just throw it in the chat. How much is that? How much is that total right now? What is your hourly times your 8 hours? Look at that. There's 480, there's 1,000, there's 1,600. There are, I think mine, what was mine? If I did it just off of this, here, I'll do it with you. Why don't I do this experiment?
That's a fun experiment.
Genius told me about it. So there's a lot of numbers here. So that is a lot of money sitting on the table. So there is what, $5,000-$6,000 probably sitting on the table right now. That's a lot of money that each of you could be making every single month instead of working in your bookkeeping. And it's such a time suck to sit there and to not know fully what you're doing, not knowing the best way to talk about something, not know the best way to categorize something. So when you're spending all of this money on your bookkeeping instead of working in your brilliance, it's just honestly a waste in something that you could hire out to somebody, and something that somebody like me who loves, thrives, just geeks out over everybody else's number. That's something that you could be passing on, and you could be making this money for yourself. And that's just per month. That's not per year what you're spending and wasting. That is just per month what you are wasting. And so I definitely just want that to really sink in with you, how much it's not something when you're paying for a tax professional, when you're paying for an accountant, when you're paying for a bookkeeper, you're one, getting a write-off, but two, you're saving so much time and money because of giving this to somebody who knows, loves, and wants to do these things. That's $19,200 per year that you would be wasting if you did your own books. That's just crazy, Colleen. That's so much money that you're just putting and leaving on the table. I don't know about you guys, but I hate leaving money on my table. I want to make sure that I am making every single dollar, because I'm a small business and I have a kid in ballet, and I've got a full-time travel soccer player and baseball player. Like I've got a lot of expenses for this little household that we have. So I just wanted to offer this to you guys today. I am actually doing, we're calling it our spring cleanup for your books, where we clean up your books so that we can maximize your refund and we can get you accountant ready. And so what all of this entails is filing an electronic extension, because it is coming up very fast. If you're an S Corp, it's in 3 weeks. If it is for your 1040, it's in 7 weeks. So it's quite coming up fast. So it includes an extension. And so I would pay the filing fee for this, because if you didn't know, it costs money to file your taxes with the IRS. And then there is a forensic review involved with this. So there is a 15-minute video. 15 minutes is usually about average of what it would be, on the things that were found in your books regarding your assets, your liabilities, your accounts receivable, your accounts payable, undeposited funds in your books, your bank transactions being entered and categorized correctly, your payroll taxes, making sure all of your taxes and everything for your business were paid, having all of these things, your sales tax, everything organized. So in this also with your spring cleanup, there's the reconciliation of all of your bank accounts, the reconciliation of your merchant processor. Did you know that you have to reconcile your merchant processor that you're getting money from? Because just because you're getting money through a merchant processor doesn't mean it's actually getting deposited into your checking account. So making sure that's reconciled each month. And then I also do a business bookkeeping boot camp. Once a month, it's going to be March 11th. I do my boot camp, and I teach a much longer class on everything for your business finances. And then for all of that together, it's $15.97. It is normally $39.97 that I charge each for the cleanup for doing this spring cleaning of your books. But right now for Lead Up for Women, I'm giving it out at $15.97. And I'm so excited to be able to help people. This does not include your tax filings, like your S Corp or C Corp filings or your 1040 filings, but that in itself is also at a discounted rate. And for anybody that's had to pay for these filings before, you know that I pay normally before I did taxes, I would pay $1,200 to my tax professional. I'm giving it out at $500 for an S Corp and $300 for a personal tax filing. So it's a crazy steep discount. I think it was like 67% off is what I was giving it out at. So it's something that I feel super passionate about. I mean, if you couldn't tell right here, I love all of this stuff. And I wanted to be able to give something out at a really discounted rate for everybody at Lead Up for Women, because I love Colleen and I love Mel and I love everybody over here. So I just wanted to be able to offer that to everybody. So yeah, if you're interested in doing something of that nature, just put your information, your name and cleanup in the chat. And I would love to be able to schedule time with you and be able to work through this and make sure that you guys are all up to date on everything that is going on in your finances. So yeah.
Will you also do me a favor, Ash, and will you put your calendar link in the chat so that women can book some time with you? Looks like Katie just put her information in there, and then if you could put your information in there as well, Ash, for people to reach out to you, maybe your website, your email, a calendar link, so that the women can schedule time with you. Because I think one of the best ways to understand all that you're able to do with someone, especially because they're like, well, my business is different, or I have this many, business accounts, or how can you help me here? What would it look like if I worked with you ongoing monthly? It'd be great for them to be able to have some of those answers and spend that time with you on the phone. I know Tanya's shaking her head because now I just found out I'm a tax write-off, and Tanya just found out she could be 60% of a tax write-off. So everyone's got questions.
Well, I'm here to answer them. I put in one link, and I'm actually going to put a different scheduling link in there because I made one just for lead up, so I know who is coming in. So let me put that for you, actually.
While you're doing that, go ahead and open up the floor. Does anyone have any questions right now for Ashley that maybe come up? It could be personal about your business, something you're not sure about. I know I have moved from an LLC to an S Corp. That was something that was recommended by a CPA and my tax accountant to do that based on draws and tax law. It's better for my percentages on what I pay on taxes to do that. So these are things that I had no idea until someone brought it up to me. But depending upon how much money you make, you need to look at, is an LLC right for you, or do you need to shift to an S Corp, based on your draws? Same way. Go ahead, Tanya.
Yeah, I had a question. Last year, I applied for EIDL loan through the SBA, the Small Business Association here in New York State, and I got approved, and I got the funds last December. So I got.
Did you get the grant, or did you actually get the PPP loan?
No, it's not the PPP loan. It's
okay.
The
EIDL. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's emergency something disaster.
Emergency disaster relief loan. Yeah.
Yes. So the funds were received into my account in December of 2020.
Okay.
Do you know if, and I have my local CPA tax person here, but it's always good to compare notes and everything. Do you know if there are like taxes due on that because I received the funds in December of 2020, or is there some sort of like, because I know there's like a year grace period before I have to start to pay down the loan.
So did you actually get a loan? So the EIDL actually was given out as a grant instead of a loan. If you look at your paperwork that you got from the SBA, it will tell you if it was the grant or if it was the loan, because most of the EIDL was actually given out as a grant.
Okay, so I will learning already. I will look that up again. I thought it was a 30-year loan.
Did you? Okay. Did you get the $1,000 or did you get like a bigger amount than that?
Bigger amount.
So then that would be the loan, and it's just going to determine on the paperwork that the SBA gave you as to, you shouldn't have to pay taxes on it because it's a liability and it wasn't actually income earned to your business. So making sure that it's categorized correctly in your books and on your balance sheet as a liability, not as an income.
Excellent. Yes. So it was the loan, and thank you so much. So it categorizes as a liability.
Yes.
Excellent.
Do you use a software?
I'm getting set up with QuickBooks the end of the month because the person that set me up last year didn't do it correctly. So I found someone new. So yes, I'll be on QuickBooks for this year, the end of the month. Last year needs a little cleaning up. Yeah, which I
well, just make sure that when you put it in, so it's going to be a long-term liability. It is not a current liability. It's a long-term, because if it's over 30 years, you're going to want to make sure that it's categorized as a long-term liability.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have questions?
I want to ask about, you talked about mortgage, when the lenders or mortgage guys are looking for on your 1040 or Schedule C, what are they, in order to qualify, or what are they looking for on 1040?
So on a 1040, if you're a Schedule C for your business, so a single member LLC, they're going to be looking for at least 2 years of your profit and loss statement. So they're going to want to make sure that your business is profitable, that you are managing your money correctly, and they're going to be looking in the last 2 years on your P&L. And then they're also going to want to make sure that your bank statements are matching what's being put in there, that you're holding a balance in your business checking accounts, and that you're not, going negative or things of like running it almost to zero, things of that nature.
Okay. Thank
Because
you.
trust me, people do it.
I know. Yes. Thanks.
Welcome. Anybody else?
But again, let me ask, if the business made losses, or maybe in 1040 you have a small business and you made also a loss, what is their fear?
What is their fear?
Mm-hmm.
That you're not going to be able to pay your loan. At the end of the day, it depends on your personal situation. In all honesty, if you are married and your husband is making money and he can show that he can support your mortgage, they're going to outweigh everything. But if it's only you on the loan and you're showing that your business is running a loss, even though it's showing that you're paying yourself and it's showing as a loss, it's going to run the fear with the banks that you are going to eventually close, that you're mismanaging your money, that you're taking on too much and you're not able to actually take on such a large investment on their part.
Okay, do they need like a big balance?
I don't know what kind of balance they honestly need to be able to qualify for a mortgage. I would just say making sure that you're staying positive, that you're staying profitable, and that it depends on how you want to be set up in your business, on how you're going to be showing how much you're paying yourself. That also has a huge factor to a mortgage on how much you're actually paying yourself.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions? I love that, Colleen. That's awesome.
Did you like that? I put it in the chat. Oh, and if you're not a member of Lead Up for Women, it's a tax write-off.
Right?
You might as well become a member.
Advertising.
Hey, Ashley, I have a question.
Yeah.
What about writing off my car and gas?
Oh.
Like all maintenance on my car.
It depends on if your car is owned by your business. One, it depends on what the entity of your business is. Two, it depends on if your business owns it. And what are you right now, Mel?
LLC, sole.
So you're a sole member. Okay, so you will be able to write off. I would do, depending on how much, it depends on which one works better and more profitable in your favor. If the maintenance and everything on your car or your gas mileage. Most people, it's the gas mileage because it's the 57.5 cents that you can write off per mile. But if you're doing something like that, and if you have like your QuickBooks set up, make sure that you just have the app downloaded. You can then track your mileage trips, even with anything above self-employed has that now. And make sure that you're tracking your mileage and that you can prove, because your gas is never going to be more than your mileage. I never really think that I run the analysis for each client, but I've never seen the repairs and maintenance be more than tracking for your gas or like your mileage. So I would do your mileage. Any other questions with Ask the Accountant?
All right, awesome. All right, ladies. Well, I'm going to give you back some time of your day. Ashley, wasn't she great today, you guys? Was this like full information or what? Yes, totally. Katie, did you have a question?
No, I just said she was the best.
Yeah. Totally knowledgeable, full of information that we need. And that's what we bring every week on these Teaching Tuesdays. So we want to thank you so much. I'm so surprised we didn't have more women join us today because we had over 20 women register for today. And we remind everyone with about 4 emails. Hey, by the way, it starts tomorrow. And by the way, it starts in an hour. And oh, by the way, it's starting right now. But if they're not getting those emails and they're going in their spam, I can understand how they're missing them. But I wanted to remind you guys that next week for our Teaching Tuesday, we are not doing one because we have a business intensive training that I'm doing with my private clients. So the following Tuesday, we have Indy Rossi, and she is an Instagram phenom. She's also a YouTube influencer and has makes money off of YouTube, and also has over 50,000 followers on Instagram. So she does a challenge with your Instagram for 5 days, and she's going to teach us all about how to use Instagram for lead generation. So there isn't a woman out there that couldn't use this opportunity to jump on here next week and learn about this. We will go live in our Facebook feed again. So just so that you're aware, we'll be live in our Facebook feed. Hold on, I'm going to remove, trying to remove the pins that I have on here right now. Let's see. But we'll go live on our Instagram feed or our Facebook feed. So if you guys need to, you guys can utilize Facebook Live if you can't make it and go back and watch it later. Ashley, why don't you go in and put all of your information into the Facebook feed today and go into the comments section and put your contact information so anyone that maybe comes upon it but didn't have the opportunity to attend today. And then I know you're going to reach out to everyone, Ashley, that registered, send them the recording and make the offer for them so that they have that available to them as well. But next week or the following week, which would be March 19th or something. I think I put it in the chat.
March 9th?
No, the following week. So it'd be the 16th. I put it in the chat. I think it's the 16th. Will be our next Teaching Tuesday. Next Tuesday,
so we're not 2 Tuesdays?
We're not doing one next Tuesday because I'm in my business
March 2nd.
training. Oh, so it's March 9th. Thank you. It's March 9th. So we're going to be having a training on March 9th about Instagram. Indy Rossi will be here. She's been in a lot of other groups presenting what she does, so you don't want to miss that. And again, we welcome you to, now that we know Lead Up for Women is a tax write-off, to offer to other women to come and join Lead Up for Women. So if you haven't created your affiliate link as a member to get some commission on that, this is a great opportunity for you guys to make some extra money, by the way, and becoming an affiliate link. So I'm going to go ahead and put in here the affiliate link on how you can sign up to be an affiliate link for Lead Up for Women in the chat, and also how you would sign in to get your affiliate information once you became an affiliate. But we had women over the week of our membership drive earn money because they referred people to Lead Up for Women. The women signed up, and then they get a 10% commission on it. So it's also a good way to make some money, and we want to pay you back for spreading the word about Lead Up for Women. And it's a tax write-off. Did I forget to mention that? I'm loving this. I just can't help it. I'm sorry. All right. So ladies, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't saved the chat, because you want to be able to save all the juicy stuff we put in there, click on the chat. Click on the little box on the right-hand corner with the 3 dots, and then click Save Chat. And then it'll save it for you in your Zoom folder, and then you can go back to it later. So ladies, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Goodbye now.